Hello, welcome. I'm Hallie with Handmade by Hallie. Thank you for joining me today. Today I've got a simple project. We're going to make a couple of these simple farmhouse frames out of some Dollar Tree canvases. Let me lower the camera so I can show you what you need for this. The main thing we're going to need for this project is we are going to need 4 to 6 of these canvases that are 8 by 10. We are going to need some wire cutters, maybe a paint scraper. We're going to need some E6000 and our hot glue gun. Then to color and paint these, we're going to use some of this deco art, deep brown. I believe I got this from Home Depot. Before we do that, though, we will use some spackle. This is the quick dry spackle, and then you'll need some sandpaper. After that comes this, putting the brown on. And after the brown dries, then we take some Vaseline and rub some Vaseline on some parts that, and what that does is when we go and put our chalk paint on, this is the color chalk paint, and this is tin white that I also get from Home Depot. So we do this on top of the brown, and then after it dries, I use a stiff brush to brush off some of the white, and where we put the Vaseline, we will see more of the brown. But I will get to that. This is kind of a multi-step project, but in the end, it's worth it. But the first thing that we have to do is we have to take our frames out of the plastic, and we're going to turn it over, and we're going to take out all of these staples. Now, most of them will come out with the wire cutters, but some of them are in deep that you can get the edge of the paint scraper in there to lift up. So let's do that. And we just peel off the canvas and put those to the side. And see, there's another staple in there, but I'm not going to bother getting that out. So I'm going to be doing a 6-pane project here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to end up gluing with both my E6000 and my hot glue, and using a couple of my big clips. And then this will have to dry overnight, and then we'll do a bead here. That's not going to ooze out. And then we will also do some hot glue. We're gonna push these together, try and make them level. You can run your fingers across. Any glue that oozes out, you can try and wipe away. Okay, so we're going to continue and do the 2 other sets like this. So there we have our 6-pane. put together. So this is going to sit here and dry, and I will come back to. So the next part of our video here is to put some quick dry spackling paste. I got this one from Sherwin-Williams. You can probably find it some other places too. I've gone ahead and put some on some parts, and I'm going to show you how to apply it. Now this part's messy because I just used my fingers. So we're going to get messy here. And our goal is to cover any of our seams, any of our staples, and make sure to do those on the side. And you want it to dry thoroughly before you sand it. So you want to make sure that it's thin enough to spread with your fingers. You can add a little bit of water to it if you need to. It's kind of the consistency of toothpaste is what I'm looking for. So I see here I missed this spot, so we're just gonna apply and then spread it out a little bit. That all looks pretty good. You could use a paint scraper, but I find my fingers do a better job at spreading. Part of it is I can feel what's going on, and I can make it smooth so that makes for less sanding. And the thicker that you apply it, the longer it takes to dry. The thinner you apply it, the less time it takes to dry. Okay. Move our paintbrush here. See if we can turn this around. I like this quick dry because this will dry in 30 minutes. Otherwise, I believe the other ones are 24 hours to dry. When you're crafting, who has 24 hours to wait? Make sure to cover those staple areas. All right, then you want to make, next comes the messy part. Sandpaper. You want to just smooth this out. But it's not horribly. So we're looking something kind of like this here, where we're giving it a general coat. And it's okay to see some of the wood underneath. That's going to add to the dimension and the layers. Finish the top here, and then we'll get in between each pane. have our brown. Okay, so there we have it. So we're going to let this dry. This takes 20 to 30 minutes. Now is when we're going to take our petroleum jelly, Vaseline, and I'm going to get a paper towel. You could use a paintbrush, but I would not use that paintbrush for anything else. That's why I prefer to use a piece of paper towel. Actually, I'm going to tear this in half and kind of wrap it around my finger here. And I'm just going to get a little bit, not a lot, and I'm just going to rub this in some of the places. This will prevent the paint from sticking. Because we're gonna want this brown to shine through a little bit. And that's why I'm using the paper towel. And you see I'm not globbing it on, I'm really almost just rubbing it in. Okay, I think that's enough. So we can keep this here just in case we need it. So we have our paint ready here. And we're not going for a solid covering this 100%. So what we're doing is we're going to dip the edges, and I'm going to lightly go across. Don't worry about if you do it too dark or too white, because we're going to come back with a hard bristle brush and brush off some of this white. So we're doing this very lightly. Whoop. Painting the other things on my desk besides my project, but that's okay. And as you see, I'm not using a lot of paint for this yet. So far, I'm just using what's on the lid. And we will get inside each of these frames on the inside and all the way around the outside. We have a base coat on it. We're just gonna go along our top. I don't know if you can see in the camera, I can see my paint brush strokes here and there from doing the sides, and I'm kind of particular about not seeing those brush strokes or that extra paint that's built up because of getting on the inside. You kind of get an extra bit of paint that builds up. So just go back and touch up. You want to make sure the top looks the best. I mean, yes, you want the rest to look good, but the top is going to be your focal point. So this, because we're doing a light coat, is not going to take too long to dry. But we need this to be thoroughly dry in order to do the next step. So we're going to give this a half an hour. Okay, so this has dried. The only places it's not dried are those places where I've put the Vaseline. I can see that the Vaseline is shiny underneath there, and that helps us find those areas that we're going to brush with our stiff bristle brush. This is just a household cleaning brush that I've kind of kidnapped into my craft room. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to rub, and it really doesn't have to be too stiff, and we want more of the brown to come out. Where, see, this is where I put the Vaseline, and see how easy that paint came off. Now if I decide that this is too much brown showing here, I can touch that up again. So we're gonna brush this all over and make it look more weathered and worn, like it's been on the farm for quite a while. So there we have our 6-pane window frame, farmhouse window frame that we're going to use for a future project. So if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to my channel to see what I do with this.